Welcome in, everybody. My name's DAEDEN. That's Colton Davies. This is GDT Live, presented to you by Game Day Tarps Podcast. We thank you, everyone, for tuning in here tonight. It's a little bit of a different schedule than we had last week, but that's because we had some scheduling issues. I started a new job today. But yeah, folks, it's a pregame show tonight. Let's jump right into it, Colton. What are you expecting tonight, Game 3? Who takes the series lead?
Oh, that's going to be a hard one. Man, there's so many storylines going into this game, but I'm excited. I think this is going to be another big, impactful game. You're going to see a lot of hits, a lot of scrums. I don't think either team backs down, right? We're at 1-1 right now. This is a huge, pivotal moment in the series. And you know what, man? I like the Oilers to get this one on the road. I think they'll get the first game on the road.
Okay, I like that.
Like I know that there's some like lineup issues, right, that we'll get to here with the Oilers, like RNH being a game time decision, but I don't see them going down 2 games in Florida at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that they can get at least the one, and we'll come back to Edmonton, or they'll come back to Edmonton, at a 2-2 series.
Yeah, I definitely think this team is different than last year. This team's not going down 0-2 in the away barn. So I just think McDavid has too good of a head on his shoulders to let this team get too much into a blunder. And
let's talk about that assist.
Yeah, okay. What do you think about it?
The dude literally walked on water. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was insane. I've never, like, watching that live was remarkable, and I could only imagine what that. I had a buddy, a personal close friend of mine, who was at the game, and all I got back from a text was "Holy fuck!" Just like seeing that in person was insane. But that assist, like, that was the Connor McDavid show right there. That was Connor McDavid in a nutshell, just dangling through the top players on the reigning Stanley Cup champion team, and then feeding it to Draisaitl for the one-timer. Absolutely beautiful play.
Well, you mentioned earlier what Aaron Ekblad called him, the nickname he gave for him. I think everybody has been calling him that for a few years now, but
yeah,
McJesus, definitely looked like Jesus tendencies out there.
He did. For Ekblad to do that too was awesome. Really cool to see Ekblad kind of give him that acknowledgement, like, you know, it's Canadian class, acknowledging another elite Canadian athlete. I thought that was really cool.
Former teammates.
And yeah, you don't see that too often. You know what I mean?
No, they were former teammates.
No, never were former teammates. Nope. But yeah, you just don't see that too often in hockey. I find, like, praising other players. It's not too much out there in the public, but with McDavid, man, it's hard not to publicly praise him. Speaking of Junior, though, if
you don't praise McDavid there, he's coming out next game and he's making you look silly, and then you look even stupider. So
exactly. Yeah, no, I get that. So I don't know. I think McDavid is really in one. He's like, this is his turn. This is his Stanley Cup. It really does feel like he's not going to let Florida win, but we'll see how this continues to grow, because Florida has been fun to watch. Have you, like, that bottom 6? I'm obsessed with grinders and those types of players, as a lot of people know, and that bottom 6 has just been unbeatable. Like, and here we go again. They flip AJ Greer into the lineup. Greer is going to get his very first Stanley Cup final game. What kind of impact is he going to have?
Yeah, I think Florida's bottom 6 is built a certain way. They have some skill. They have some young guys, but they also have that grit and competitiveness that they'll shove it in your face and they won't let you. They're suffocating. Their bottom 6 is suffocating, especially in the offensive zone. But something we talked about before, Colton, some lineup issues for the Edmonton Oilers possibly. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a game-time decision, and we might see Jeff Skinner come into the lineup here again tonight.
That could be interesting. What are we? Skinner obviously had that one goal when he played a couple rounds back, but so good for him, right? You kind of got in there, but then immediately got yanked. So that was kind of comical in a sense. But with him, he's my favorite. One of my favorite players. I love Jeff Skinner going back to the Kitchener Ranger days when he played with Kitchener, and then breaking out with Carolina as a young player. I really liked him. I think he's a nice veteran presence on this Oilers team. Maybe they got it a little bit wrong this year with the signing of him, and you know what I mean? Like they kind of got it a little bit wrong, and he hasn't been the player that they wanted. But this is a good chance for him. If RNH is out, this is a really good chance for Skinner to step up.
100%. It's definitely great for Skinner. People think he's been playing well, but someone that thinks he's been playing extremely well here is head coach Chris Knobloch, and we're going to hear from him right now.
He's been ready to play, and he came and stepped in, played a really good game in Dallas, scored a goal, in fact, played well, and he's been prepared through it all, and it can be a long time off, between games, not playing, and he's worked hard in all his skates, and knowing that there's going to be injuries or there's going to be a lineup change or something, and he's been prepared, and if he is playing tonight, I have confidence that he'll give us a good game.
So yeah, I think this just kind of shows credit to the Edmonton Oilers YouTube for that one, but I think this shows that Jeff Skinner comes to the rink every day with a certain mindset that doesn't let people get to him. Obviously, if Skinner was going to let people get to him, probably would have happened early on in the playoffs when he wasn't playing. But the fact that he's able to stick with it, be behind the scenes, if you will, but still produce and provide for this Oilers team when he's called upon, I think it's just a great asset to have, and something that some players aren't able to do mentally. If you're out for that long, some guys might just be like, I'm not needed. They don't need me.
Yep. Yeah, it takes a toll on you mentally too, right? Like it's gonna be interesting how that kind of plays out, because he's been okay. Like 2 games played, 2 points for Skinner. Like it's not like he's been bad. So it's just the matter of fitting him into the lineup, right? And there's been other players that have kind of fit more into that Oilers scheme lately. So he kind of has gotten the shit end of the stick, but this is his time to kind of step up. And I like this comment here. We'll flash it up from Toby. If Edmonton wins, McDavid needs to hand it off to Skinner first, like Sakic to Ray Bourque did. And you might be trolling a little bit with that comment, but I love it, right? Like I love that type of stuff. And I think that, Skinner's a guy that's waited forever. Hasn't even played in playoffs until this year, right? So 2 career playoff games, 2 career playoff points. And what a way that'd be kind of great for him, hey? Go and win a Stanley Cup in your first playoff series after however how long he's been in the NHL for. He's 33 now. He's probably been in the league for what, 13 years? Probably.
Yeah, I think I might retire in my post-game presser.
Yeah.
I've done it all.
There you go. The walk-off, right? The absolute send-off. But I think it'll be interesting. It's gonna be a good game tonight. I'm excited to see what kind of happens, and it's gonna be the battle of the goalies again. That's really what I think.
Talking about the goalies, Colton, there's been some talk back and forth all series. We know the Florida Panthers like to play this game. A couple of certain people in the lineup like to play a certain type of game around the crease. There's been some knocks to Skinner, some knocks to Bobrovsky all throughout the playoffs. But this series, it kind of looks like there's been a battle in the blue paint. What do you make on that? And do you think there's going to be any adjustments made here by either team?
No, I don't think so. I think that's how the teams are just playing that greasy style of bouncer hockey, right? You play in front of the net, you can corral the pucks, tip the pucks, get those dirty, greasy rebounds, and that's kind of what we're seeing. It's been a fun series to watch. It's definitely like I said this a couple days ago, but it's a breath of fresh air watching this series compared to the conference finals. Holy cow. It's actually enjoyable to watch this series, and it's been fun. And I think that both teams are just going to be as aggressive as they can continue to be, right? That's how they win. And I think personally, Florida has not played a physical team like Edmonton, and Edmonton hasn't played a physical team like Florida. So they're both jawing at each other. They're finishing checks. they're knocking each other's goaltenders over, whether there's embellishments or not on both ends. It's, you know what I mean? It's an interesting rivalry that is kind of in the making. And I say that lightly because they're so far apart, but after last year's Stanley Cup final and now they're meeting again, you can tell these teams don't like one another.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think the battle in the blue paint is something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. And Evander Kane said this morning that Edmonton has no signs of stopping.
Yeah, it's been a battle at both nets. Obviously, you don't like when guys are purposely falling into your goaltender. That's never good, and you hope that gets noticed. But I think both teams.
Okay. We had a couple of clips playing there at one time. Don't know what happened there, but
no, I got the gist of what he was saying, though, right? Like you're going to continue to play that style of hockey when you got guys like Kane and Perry and Matthias Janmark, and then you got on the other end Nosek and Gadjevich and Greer and Bennett and Kachuk and guys that just can hound a goaltender. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that Florida has the upper hand in that part of the game. I don't know if it'll really matter when it's all said and done. I think this series is definitely one that's finished on the scoreboard and not on the ice, with those fourth liners finishing your checks. I know both teams have it, but both teams are also so offensively talented that I think it really gets finished by a guy like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Alexander Barkov. We said this morning, Barkov isn't really producing that much, but
no,
Paul Maurice isn't too worried. He said he's going to trade him. Did you see that? Yeah, it's not anything they're worried about. I think this team or this series is going to be finished off by like a producing offensive score, not like some fourth line grinding.
Yeah, I think that's more than a fair take. I think a guy like McDavid or Draisaitl just absolutely turns it up a notch. A guy like Barkov, a guy like Matty Kachuk on either end, right? It's going to be one of those guys, Carter Verhaeghe. Somebody's going to step up to the plate on either end, and that's how the series is going to finish. It's going to be finished by an elite talent or a superstar player in that sense, because arguably that's what we're seeing right now is the superstars against the superstars. And man, it's just hard for me to count out McDavid. It's really hard this year. It seems like he's really in a different mind, just a different mindset going into the series. Doesn't want to lose. It's going to be tough.
Something that I wanted to point out just popped up here. A comment from Dallas, one of our good buddies. He's also a part of the Game Day Tarps podcast, but he wanted to know when it's all said and done after this series, if it goes Florida's way, could Bob be considered the best Russian goaltender of this era?
I think that's fair. I have a counter to that, though. And it's not about Bob. It's not about Bob. It's about the Florida Panthers as a whole. And anybody that watched the sheet today will understand where I'm going with this. If Florida loses, do they just become Boston? Where they only won one cup and didn't have that dynasty team. Where they made it 3 times, but they only won it once.
That's true.
Do they become Boston? That was a fair question brought up today by Jeff and Greg Wyshynski, and I think it's interesting because Florida has the chance to be back to back, just like Tampa. But then you have these two Florida teams now battling for the who's the best in the state.
Right.
So what's going to happen? But if Tampa went back to back, and people can discredit that all they want, saying it's a COVID Cup, saying whatever. They went back to back. That doesn't change anything.
Yeah, trust me. As a person that supported the Montreal Canadiens in 2021,
yeah,
it was not a fake cup run.
No, it was weird. Don't get me wrong. It was absolutely the weirdest cup run we've probably seen in 20 fucking years, but they still won back-to-back cups. And I know Riley, one of our hosts here at Game Day Tarps, is probably over the moon that we're talking about this and giving Tampa the credit.
Did you see the message that came through in the group chat? He was giving Dallas shit about talking about Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky.
That's funny. But no, it's a fair question. If Florida loses this series, what does it look like for their team? They've made it to 3 Stanley Cup Finals, but only won it once.
Yeah, I think that the
That's
word
a
dynasty goes
hyper
out
like
out the window for sure.
it's a hypothetical because we got to get through this series. But to add on to what Dallas said, to get back to the point of that, if they do win it, I agree with that. I agree with that testament that Bob is the greatest Russian goaltender, one of the greatest Russian goaltenders, I should say, because Vasilevsky holds a very special place in my heart. I love that dude. But
I
it's a
think
good
you got to
place.
give a shout out to Tretiak too. He might not have been
Oh yeah,
the best NHL goaltender, but one of the best Russian goaltender. I know Dallas said
yeah,
this era, not all time, but
yeah, yeah.
Vladislav Tretiak was pretty good.
Good. That's a good one. No, I think it's a good question. I think that's something we can revisit again next week, maybe. I'd like to ask some of our guests that we're getting on this week. We won't name drop anything quite yet, just because a couple things aren't confirmed. But we're gonna. I like to do that. And you know what? That's a fair point. That is a fair point brought up by Broda Maywood. What about Briz? Where does Briz fall into that category?
If you're talking sound bites, number one, why you have to be mad is only a game. Like that's
It's only
I'm only afraid of bear in the forest. Like, yeah, it's amazing. I love that guy.
it's classic. No, Briz is a classic guy. Love that guy too. No, yeah, that's fair. We should do that one day this offseason. Do a top 5 Russian goalies, top 5 Czech goalies with Dominik Hasek, et cetera, et
Canadian
cetera.
goalies, American goalies, because American
Yeah.
goaltenders are starting to come up on the rise now.
Yeah, does Connor Hellebuck take that, or does Jake Ottinger? By the way, Connor Hellebuck has won the Hart Memorial Trophy. In case you didn't see that.
Yeah. Also, fellas, put in the comments right now. Let us know what you think. Ottinger, Hellebuck.
Who's the better American goaltender? Going to tonight's game, let's flash up the top 5 European players. I like that. Let's flash up the bet that we have got going for tonight's game. We got a little betting segment that we're going to do here from Bet365. We've got a little $9 bonus bets parlay kicked on for Connor McDavid to score a goal, Evan Bouchard to pick up an assist, and McDavid to have 3 shots on goal. You can make all your bets over at Bet365 and go and try and win yourself some money. This seems like it's a pretty free one. So go win some money, fellas. You can tail along with this. Let me know if it hits. If it doesn't, you can give me shit. Big Willie Styles says Otter because he's from Minnesota. So.
Oh, what's going on here? Oh, wrong one. Haha.
Figuring it out.
There we go.
DAEDEN is too young to bet.
Me? What are you talking about? No way, not a chance.
Damn, Willie coming in.
That's why I told. That's why I told my mother I'm never shaving my face because I can't go around with people like that. Looking at me like I'm 12 years old. I gotta have a little bit of facial hair here, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? What do you think? What do you think the message is from Paul Maurice and Chris Knobloch tonight for their players?
Well, I think the message, if you're Chris Knobloch, is just to stick to the game plan and not let Florida's offense keep you hemmed in your own zone. They're at home tonight. Yep. They're going to be fueled by the fans. They're going to be fueled by the energy inside. Is it still Amerant Bank Arena?
Yeah.
Or FLA Live? I think it might be FLA Live Arena now.
I thought it was Amerant Bank Arena now.
I think they changed it. But either way, inside that arena, the fans get absolutely crazy. And I think they could drown out this Oilers team if things get going here. So the Oilers have to learn or just know to stick to their game plan and not let anything drown them out. That's what if I'm Chris Knobloch, I'm probably saying something like that.
Okay. What about if you're Paul Maurice?
If I'm Paul Maurice, I'm looking to the guy that wears number 97, and I'm thinking, how do we shut him down? What surface can he not walk on? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's water. You can do that. So
he dangled 3 of our best players in one move. What do we do? So
start waving the white flag. No, not yet.
They've done a good job of they've done a good job of keeping him controlled to a point, though, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's scored yet, has he?
No, but see, that's what makes him so dangerous is
Because
that
that's true though, because he doesn't need to score, right?
right. He can control a game and not even be on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's
Willie
true.
Styles says sit back and wait for him to make his move. And I think that's exactly what most people are doing. When you have Connor McDavid coming at you, you're not making the first move.
No,
That's what gets you in a little bit of trouble there.
I think Florida's defense has learned that too. Like Nico Mikola has done a good job. Whenever he's on the ice, he's all over McDavid. He's doing a good job out there. Mikola's 6'6" and whatever, 220 though, so it makes sense that they're putting him on McDavid. He ties him up. He can, he's got the long reach to kind of whack him out of the way. But McDavid gets even the slightest bit of room, it's over. Like,
Yeah, 100%. I think it's just like these are the type of players that you watch film on and you watch film on for like half an hour and the team is just sitting there like in awe of this guy instead of like, oh, how do we shut him down? This
yeah,
guy's really good.
yeah. So one thing I wanted to get to as well, we got two veterans in Corey Perry and Brad Marchand just having the time of their lives right now in the playoffs. Well, I mean, it's really fucking cool for me, who has grown up watching Marshy and Perry since they broke out into the league in 04 and 05, and when Marshy broke out back in 07. I think it was 07 when he came into the league, or it was 08. Either way, it's been really cool to watch these guys just absolutely come up and be 40 years old now, and just having fun out there and leading their team in style too. Like Marchand scores the overtime winner. Marchand had a goal the other game. Corey Perry's up to what, 9 goals, something like that. Like, it's been really interesting and fun to watch these two at their age just go out there and prove that, hey, you don't need to be 25, you can still be 40 and be an impactful player.
Yeah. As an East Coaster guy from Nova Scotia, I think I gotta give a little props to Brad Marchand any day of
Yeah.
the week. I
Yeah.
Growing up, I did not like this guy. I did not like the way he played. But now, since he's keeping his tongue in his mouth and away from other players, I think he's actually been a very skillful player. He showed it on the ice time and time again. And you know what? I'm not too big of a Marshy hater anymore.
I think what it was, I saw a perfect tweet. I've never hated him. I've always liked the guy. Just because he's just a smaller player. I've always enjoyed him. And but I saw a tweet from, I don't know who it was from, but it was the other night, and it said, it turns out I didn't hate Brad Marchand. I just hated Boston. And I
Yeah.
think that's coming true for a lot of people. They realize, oh, I don't actually hate Brad Marchand. I just fucking hate Boston.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that a lot now, right? And let's talk quickly, since we're on the topic of Marchand. Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic dropped something today, and I think it might have been yesterday, so it might be a little bit wrong on the timeline there. But sounds like Marchand wants to stay.
Well, I mean, I kind of was thinking if this was if he wanted to go any place, it would probably be to stay in Florida. I couldn't see Brad at this point of his career going west, and I really can't see him leaving the East Coast. He's from the East Coast. He probably wants to settle back down, whether it be south of here or back in Nova Scotia. It's beautiful here. Just gonna let you know, it's beautiful here. But no, Brad definitely isn't going west. I can't see him going anywhere else, to be honest. He's got the palm trees, he's got the white sand in between his toes on the off days. He's having a great time.
You think, I saw a comment today too where they're talking about Sam Bennett going to free agency, and someone's like, you think Benny's going to give up the fact that he can live in a tax-free state and live on a beach in Miami? No.
Yeah,
Now,
no.
don't get me started on the tax-free state bullshit, because that argument pisses me off. I think it's ludicrous and has nothing to do with hockey. Your tax-free state doesn't mean anything, in my opinion.
I
But
think
that's for
it
another.
might, but that's for another
That's for
time.
another debate. Yeah, that's for another debate. But no, I think it's if you're Brad Marchand, you want to stay in Florida, right?
100%. Well, we were talking about Corey Perry there on the other side of it. We've got a question coming in here from Dallas saying if the Oilers can't get this series cleaned up and bring the cup home, can we confirm the Corey Perry curse is a real thing?
I believe we can. I believe that is a thing. If that appears to be that ends up becoming the reality of it, the Corey Perry curse is a thing.
Another one here. Willie Styles. We were talking about that before the game or before the show. We were thinking, what if someone just joins and says, "Hey, Ace here, GDT Live. We're both Ace."
Ace here.
Ace
All right,
here.
Willie. You really want to know how I feel about it? I just think it's a dumb argument because a player is gonna, in my opinion, which is probably wrong. If you're playing in the NHL, you probably don't care to a point where you play. But I get that, and I saw this comment from John Bankart in the sheet chat today. But like, you wake up in okay, so try living in Pittsburgh, okay? So you wake up in Pittsburgh and it's rainy every fucking day. But then you wake up in Florida every day and it's sunny. Your mood is obviously going to be drastically different. Like, just by the nature of how humans are, if you wake up and it's 30 degrees out and sunny, you're naturally in a great mood, right? You wake up and it's raining out, you're like, oh, well, what the fuck? Now my mood's now everything's dampened. But I think in hockey, it's just, it goes a little bit, it's different. Like, you look at some of the massive contracts Ryan Suter and Zach Parise signed with Minnesota. Minnesota is not a tax-free state. Now, Willie could correct me if I'm wrong there, but think about like some of the contracts elsewhere that have been signed, right? Like, if it really mattered, then wouldn't guys like Austin Matthews and stuff go and sign in Florida or Nashville or Arizona, even though Arizona's not a place anymore, Utah? If it really
I get
mattered,
it.
wouldn't the superstar players be going elsewhere?
Yeah, he also said you're right. It's not tax free.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm completely out to lunch on it. I've just heard this argument for like a month, and I'm like, if that was truly the case, then these tax-free state teams would be loaded with superstars. Loaded.
I think you're right. I think it also comes with the new day and age. People being able, like NHL players, used to never be able to speak their voice at all,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're seeing in the past couple seasons, players are kind of having more character. They're saying a little bit more. They're saying some things that we've never seen them say before, and I think maybe there's some players that are saying, you know what, nowadays, if I could go live without tax, might do it. I think we might start to see more of it sometimes, but I don't know. You guys, let me know. I might be the one that's completely out to lunch on it. I don't know. It's a tough topic.
Well, it's an odd one because, and there you go. Like Willie with the comment. This is what I'm trying to get at. So McDavid could sign for what? Let's say a hypothetical contract number, $17 million with the Oilers. Okay. Now, if he goes to a tax-free state, he could sign for 15 million and still receive the same amount in theory. However that works, right? But like, is he going to do that? Probably not.
If McDavid goes anywhere else, where do you see him going? Because I'll tell you, everybody that I went to school with in Toronto seems to think that he's coming to Toronto, but I think that's crazy.
I don't know.
He is
I've
from
never
Moonlight.
I know I've never like tried to picture him in another jersey or like thought about it that much, but like I want to say the cliche answers like New York or like the Rangers or like Toronto, but like
I can't imagine him in a Rangers jersey.
Yeah, I don't honestly know.
Got some more comments coming in here. Going to pop one up from Broughton Maywood. He said, sign for a shit team in a tax-free state, have shitty seasons, and end up getting a bad next contract because you can't put numbers up. Yeah, I could see that happening too, and that's definitely a possibility. I think this tax-free state thing is such a tough like topic to touch on. Like, I don't know, unless you're actually in those players' shoes, putting pen to paper, I think it might be a little tough to judge.
And like Willie says, he wants to win, right? So this really like it's such clickbaity shit to say right now. But does this like we don't need to talk about this, and we probably shouldn't. But if they lose, what does it say for McDavid's future?
I could have just put the thumbnail of McDavid in a different jersey if you wanted
like,
to.
Is he gonna just like they run it back next year, obviously, but then what happens? And my only thing too is he's not. I don't think he's.
How many years can they keep running it back?
How many years has Toronto ran it back? How many years did Boston run it back? How many years did Pittsburgh run it back?
Run it back. Toronto doesn't run it back. They think they run it back, and then they walk half.
Okay, what about Pittsburgh? Edmonton's just going to be in their own Pittsburgh situation eventually.
Yeah, I guess. And then they're going to come down to this season, and they're going to have a season like this season, and they're going to have like Leon and Corey or Leon and Connor sitting there like Sid and Evgeny. Like they're both coming to the end of the lines, and neither of them have a supporting cast.
That's why I think this Stanley Cup is like a lot more personal for McDavid. I think it's not about like we talked about you can talk about cementing his legacy, but he's only 28, so like we're not really cementing a legacy yet. But I think this cup means more to him than anything right now, because if he wins this cup, he's got. If he wins the cup, he's staying in Edmonton for his entire career.
100%, 100%.
Right? I don't think that's wrong to say.
No, he stays forever. He has a heated driveway, bro.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
No, but I really do think if he wins a cup here, he becomes a legend in Edmonton.
Yeah, he'll have statues.
You can't leave with legend status.
No, he becomes an icon there, right? Like he already is, but he's gonna just like elevate himself to that legend status. So
100%.
So I don't know.
Before we wrap this up, Colton, give me a prediction for tonight.
I think I said 4-1 game 1. I said 4-3 game 2. Game 3, I'm gonna say I think it goes over. I think it goes over 6 goals for both teams. So I'm gonna say 5-3 Edmonton.
An offensive outburst tonight. I'm gonna switch it up because both of these times, both of us have said for all 3 games Edmonton so far. So I'm gonna switch it up and go Florida.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Brad.
Yeah.
Game winner.
Bradley getting the winner again. Can we talk about what he said about his mother? Because that was hilarious.
What did he say? I didn't hear it.
He said that when the reporter asked about his mom cheering and stuff, he said that we should put a muzzle on her.
Oh no.
Type of hockey mom that just screams and laughs, but then he was obviously very good about it and commented about how much he loves his mom and how great she is. And I thought that was so cool though. It's the video of it is awesome. She's just cheering and going crazy. It's pretty cool to see. I think that's the one thing I've learned to love as I'm getting older and more involved with teams and stuff, is like the parents' reactions are so cool. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Just seeing and like talking to the parents sometimes. Like I've talked with a number of different WHL players' dads and like moms and stuff like that, and just like it's really cool to see how proud they are of their children and how much they want to talk about their son. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely great. It's great when parents are involved in a player's journey, and ultimately, that's to me is the biggest thing in a player's journey is parents that that support the kid. Because without that,
absolutely,
you're not going far.
No. Well, we're gonna wrap things up. We got a couple guests coming this week for you guys. We will drop one of them. I will name him right now just because we do know that this interview is happening. We are getting London Knights goaltender and Memorial Cup champion Austin Elliott on the program. That will be on Wednesday. The interview will not be live. We will have it pre-recorded, but DAEDEN and I will have something done for Austin, and we will be showing that on Wednesday. We're going to try to get Stephen Ellis on. And that's about our plans so far for this week. Couple more guests lined up. We'll see how things go. But Daeden, I'll let you kind of end things off here.
All right, fellas. Well, tomorrow I'm gonna be back on here, same time as usual, the 3
Bye, Willie.
Eastern, 11 Pacific. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the game. It's game 3 tonight. Oilers,
You said
Panthers.
3 Eastern.
It is 3 Eastern, dude.
2 Eastern.
Shit. Put it in the tip jar. All right. Well, fellas, it's 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. We'll be back. GDT Live tomorrow afternoon. Regular timing, back with some junior hockey talk. Willie, we are the junior hockey nerds, and we will see you tomorrow on GDT Live.